Just in Time series with Vishwadharma. Today's topic is for thinkers, scientists, problem solvers, of course, for analysts and students. This is to promote intellectual capabilities and thinking abilities. So, the topic that I'm going to cover today is about appearance. Yes, it looks simple, but if you think, there's so much rationality and there's so much impact on all our lives. So let me explain, um, in my way. So what do you what do you think when you see this picture? What comes to your mind? So you start thinking about where is this temple, which god is this temple, right? So all the kind of a lot of questions comes to your mind, and your thinking process is very neutral, right? It's calm and neutral. What about this? Okay, police, but not our Indian police, right? So you can get the flag here. You can see the flag, and you can guess which country it is, and so on, right? So your mood changes, right? Your mood is changed. How it was when you saw this picture, and how it is when you see this picture, right? Well, what about this? Oh my God! So doctor, you know, texting is mobile and it's busy and professional, right? So soldiers. So soldiers looking for something. They looks like they are on a mission. There is an operation going on, something like that, right? So what it essentially means is there is a dress code for some of the professions like a doctor, police, and the soldiers, right? There is a dress code. So using that dress code, we can clearly see, we can clearly understand what they do and what kind of situation it is and what is the context, right? Well, what about this? Can you guess what is the profession of this person? Can you guess what job he does? Well, it's not that easy, right? You can't guess it. And if I ask you, can you guess accurately what profession this person does? Well, you cannot, right? Can you say that he is a farmer? No, there is no such clue, because the farmer that you know, right, doesn't look like this, something like that, based on your experience. Now, what about this? Can you guess what this person is doing, or what this person is doing? Yes, of course, he's doing something, some kind of cultivation related activity. But what job he does, what profession he belongs to? No, because there's no specific dress code, right? It looks casual, right? And it looks like he's a student. But if I ask you, right, and if I give you time and ask you to think, can you predict or can you guess exactly what this person's profession is? You cannot. Unlike, you know this case, right? If I ask you what profession this person belongs to, you can easily make it out, right? So what is the point? Well, I am coming to that specific interesting aspect of this video. What about this, right? Okay, looks like some service provider does some kind of cultivation related thing, maybe terrace garden or something like that, and is doing that, right? But we don't know, maybe he's a owner of this particular building, and he's trying to do something right here. So we don't know, right? Well, what about this? So what comes to your mind? Okay, he's a farmer, right? But is it accurate? Is it accurate answer? Is it accurate thinking process? Well, it may not be, right? But if you think deeply, if you observe deeply, right? There's a bag here, and he may not be a farmer. He's just walking, right, towards his village, or he's going somewhere, and there the agricultural land is, it's there. Just because he's walking here doesn't mean that he's a farmer, right? So, but there is some kind of gut feeling. There is some kind of assumption that it comes to some kind of thought process that it's makes you think that he's a farmer. So why am I speaking very fast is to reduce the length of the video, right? Right. So, um, well, what about this, right? So what Visha, it is very clear that he's a farmer, right? That's what comes to your mind. But is it right? We don't know. Is it really accurate? We don't know. But if I tell you he is a CEO, he is my friend, and he is, just for this photo purpose, for this session purpose, I have asked him to, wear this kind of clothes and this kind of attire and, stand in mid of this somebody's agricultural land, right? Now, what comes to your mind, right? You started thinking deeply, correct? So, but actually, he's not my friend. He's not a CEO, right? So now let's talk about this. So who is the farmer? This person or this farmer? This person? Maybe both. It's people. Some people may think intelligently that okay, both, right? A safe bet, but we don't know, right? We don't know. You cannot accurately predict because there is no context here, right? Just a photo and looking at the dress code, you can't really determine. He may be a owner, who knows, and he may be a farmer, who knows, right? So we don't know. So what about this? So people, a lot of people visiting here. Looks like it's a far from urban, place, some kind of, out of city or outside or outskirts of the, state or the district or something like that, right? But if I tell you that this is some kind of, healing center, and a lot of people who has psychological disorders, they come here and then go for a treatment, something like that, then your mindset. So basically, it all requires a context, right? And this as well, right? This looks beautiful, but we don't know whether it is active, whether it is operational, whether it is being used, or which location, all these things and all, right? So what it essentially means is your thoughts are always influenced or dominated by your environment. Yes, you may think that this is a hotel, you may think that this is a restaurant, you may think that this is a house, right? And this may be a university or something like that, but we don't know. Just by looking at this picture, we don't know. So let me take you to another type of dimension, right? Do you know what is the specialty of this home? I mean, this room. Look at this. How beautiful this is, right? But there is a story. There is a story, right? So this is a room where my friends, stayed. My friends' family. They stayed here, struggled a lot. They suffered from some of the peculiar diseases. Though they spent a lot of time in constructing this beautiful interiors and the building, they they actually suffered a lot in life, right? So this is their favorite place. They love this home they built for their family, but they couldn't really stay for longer because of the disease that they had. They just left this world. Well, that's not the case, right? You just heard some emotional background music and my narration, right? And then you might have thought that, well, it is a true, or you might have not thought because of the CEO example that I gave, right? But having that kind of emotional background made little bit of impact, at least, right? This music had little bit of impact on your mind, right? Similarly, if I just play this kind of music, right? Friends, this is my house. Myself and my brother has constructed this, and the sofa is imported one, it's from Italy, and the TV is specially designed. It is advanced technology, gesture based control system and so on, right? So that's a different feeling that you are getting, right? So if you see this picture, it gives you, or it takes you to different world altogether, right? So you poverty, illness, sickness, simple life. Uh, these are the keywords that strike your mind, right? That comes to your mind. For if you have to explain your feelings in some few words, these are the words that comes to your mind, right? What about this, right? You get the different feelings, right? What about this? A person trying to do something with the herbal elements and trying to. What about this, right? A doctor is typing something, but actually, this doctor may be chatting with a friend, or trying to do, or maybe to booking movie tickets or something like that, right? So, but what we think generally is when we look at this kind of picture, it conveys the first impression always gets some kind of serious thoughts, right? The serious, strict thoughts comes to our mind. Nobody really thinks that when the moment they see this picture, nobody thinks that okay, this person, this doctor is booking tickets for a movie, right? Majority of the people thinks that doctor is busy, right? Similarly, here we all get a light feeling that okay, something this person, we may not really feel that impact about the health, the importance of this we may not realize, right? But it may be really important to cure some of the most dangerous diseases, right? This person may be preparing a medicine for some of the most critical diseases, but we may not get that kind of impression or thought at first sight, correct? And now what about this? Oh my god, so this doesn't need to any context or anything, right? You can straight away your mind starts thinking very seriously that about some kind of serious environment, serious situation, something, right? And what about this? Oh, very jubilant, very happy person on the street. So happy people, maybe vacation time, some kind of thing, right? And calm, cool, utopian world, right? That such kind of feelings that you get when you see this, right? And when you look at these pictures, oh, most developed countries, most developed nation, and all these things, right? But why is it so? Why? Have you ever thought about it, right? So you don't know. Maybe a person inside these buildings may be suffering a lot from some of the personal situations, something like that. You don't know. And the people here may be happy, very happy, and right? So anything is right. It's vice versa. Anything is possible, correct? So what I'm trying to say is, if you have to narrate something, if you have to understand something, right? Do not jump to conclusion, do not allow your mind to jump to the conclusion immediately, rather always look for context, and you know the context and the content, right? It should be matched. Otherwise, it becomes chaos. If you look at this left side picture here, right, it's more of artistic in nature. But if I ask you what is this, can you describe? You will definitely take a lot of time to explain or describe, and every single person describe it entirely different, right? Your definition will be different, my definition will be different. But if you look at this, if I ask you something, then it's not that complex compared to this, right? But the same picture, this kind of picture, I mean artistic picture, if you see in this kind of context, right? um, it's a very easy to explain, and you feel light, and it's more predictable, and it's more apt, suitable also, right? So what essentially it means is, these are the tips and quotes, right? Be predictable to live a peaceful life. If you want to live a peaceful life, be always predictable. Yes, make sure that whatever you speak, the way you dress, write down, right? What you do, what you perform, everything is aligned with common sense. A happy life is predictable, right? A predictable life is peaceful. A happy life is predictable. A complex life is unpredictable. Be rational if you want more success. Art needs a context. This is the most important quotation I just wanted to bring to your notice. Art needs a context. Here you saw that, right? An art without a context, right, it doesn't have any meaning. Whereas an art here, when this is placed here, it has so much meaning here, right? It adds a lot of beauty, aesthetics to the location. Similarly, there are other quotations. You can just pause this video if you want to read all this, right? You will find it interesting, especially the last line. Even randomness has a pattern. Yes, there's nothing called randomness in this world. Everything has its own pattern. All right. So you can pause this video to read all these quotations and tips for your thought process. If you want to do some kind of research further, you can do that. Similarly, if your anxiety, if you have fear, if you are afraid of future, right, you can do simple things. You can change the environment, maybe shift the sofa from here to there, change the furniture, blankets, curtains, or the way you are look, the dress and the costumes and everything, or food habits you can change suitable to your work, right? You can change your connections that promotes your growth and peace, right? You may be having lots of contacts, but what is the use if it's not helping your growth or prosperity, right? So you can change that. Well, important thing that I wanted to here tell you: live a predictable life to live peacefully, right? Peacefully, correct? That's my quote for the day. And nature is very, 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 very predictable. If you are thinking that nature is something unpredictable, I'm not able to take into that equation and all these things, well, it's predictable, because it has a pattern, it has a seasonality, it has a trend, it has a cyclic nature. Where there is a seasonality, trend, and cyclic nature, you can do your prediction and forecasting. If you are into analytics or data science, you can very much understand this statement, right? SCT equation: seasonality, trend, and cyclic nature, right? So this is the simple representation. Life begins and ends, birth and death, right? So various stages, and what you do, what you nurture today, is what it grows, right? What you sow is what you reap, basically. So Vishwa, what is the key point? Vishwa, you were talking about all these things, and what is the key point? Well, let me take you to a different dimension of thinking. Yes, I promise. Is there any good dress code for a good human being, right? Is there any dress code for a good human being, right? If you want to say that so and so person is very good, right, what kind of dress that he or she should wear? And has dress code impacted our life significantly, right? What are the pros and cons? First of all, is dress code really necessary, right? So there are dress codes for some of the functions, some of the roles, some of the professions, but is it really necessary? Should we need to increase, or should we need to decrease? Should we need to change? These are something that you can you know take it for research, right? These are something that you can do a research. If you are a research scholar, think about it, right? What impact the dress code or the complexion, all these things has on human life or in society, right? What is the dress code? So if you want to quickly identify whether a person is good or bad, right? Or for what is the dress code for human beings, right? Is it not interesting? Well, look at this thinking quadrant, right? There are This is a 2 by 2 matrix. I call it as a thinking quadrant. My name, copyrighted. So, a right dress code, a right situation. Right dress, wearing a right dress code for a right situation. Wrong dress code for a right situation. Right dress code for a wrong situation. Wrong dress code for a wrong situation. I have examples here, right? So wrong dress code for a right situation. Doctor wearing a police uniform or a military dress and going into ICU. If doctor wears this kind of dress, military or police dress, and enters into ICU, do you think, you know, is it common, or is it rational, and is it acceptable? Right? It's a wrong dress code, but it's a right situation. Doctor entering into ICU is a right situation, but is wearing a police uniform or a military dress. It's a wrong dress code. What about this? Lawyer wearing his lawyer dress code for a marriage occasion or a birthday party on a Sunday, right? Let's say it's a Sunday. Is doing this birthday celebration party for his kid, for his son, right? But he is in lawyer dress, right? Lawyer wearing a lawyer dress is a right dress code, yes or no? It says, right? And but the situation is wrong. On a Sunday birthday party, he doesn't need to wear the lawyer dress, being a lawyer. He because he's being a lawyer, he doesn't need to, right? So wrong dress code for a wrong situation. Going out to outing with friends without telling parents, but wore wrong dress, right? So there is a movie also, Malayalam movie. I think it's a interesting movie, old one, quite old. So these kind of examples are there, right? So basically, if you think deeply for each of these quadrant, right, you will get answer by yourself to these questions. You yourself can answer this. The rationality will help you to answer these questions, right? Well, are you interested to know my answer? Um, See, what kind of dress? First of all, let me go back to the screen, right? What is the dress code for a good human being? Absolutely, there is no dress code for a good human being, right? We should not, or we cannot put a dress code for a, I mean, define a dress code for a good human being, right? It doesn't make sense, because if what if a bad person wearing that kind of dress code? If we define that yes, all good people should wear this kind of dress code, what if a bad guy wears this kind of dress code just to prove that he's also good? First of all, everybody thinks that he's a good person, right? How do you make them realize that he's a bad guy? That's another topic. You can watch my other videos. Has dress code impacted our lives significantly? Yes, absolutely, right? A police coming to your house, or maybe you are going to a doctor, and the doctor is in that kind of suit. What's something called that? That's PPE, right? PPE or something. So that kind of suit and all, does it not make you kind of anxiety, right? There's something called white coat syndrome. Doctors who takes that blood pressure, right? Who test the blood pressure. So there's something called white coat syndrome. You can search for that. So what are the pros and cons? Well, the pros and cons are many. Basically, it's the society should not be dependent on dress code. It should not be driven by dress code alone. That alone is bold, underline, double quotes. Right? It shouldn't be based on that. But the dress code should be there. Depends on the context. More important, dress code should be driven by the context. We have to follow that, right? So that answers for this question. Is dress code really necessary? Answer is yes, but not for all situation, all aspects of life. But some aspects of life, it is important, right? And we have to promote the internal thought process and internal rationality, right? So that we don't need to get into a situation where we have to define dress code for every aspect of life. That shouldn't be the case, right? That's my rationality. And if I have to tell you the last concluding comments, be cautious with looks, right? Depends on context. You have to make sure that you are actually applying a certain tips and solutions what I've mentioned. You just bring the order to your life, things will be happy and good. One simple rule is to be conscious about time, place, people, activity. What activity you are doing at what time, at what place, with who makes your life predictable. Yes, very important one, right? So if you are doing a prayer or a puja in a pub, right, do you think anybody believes that? Right? Nobody. So place is important, context is important, time, people, activity, what time, and all these things are very very important. If you want to make your life predictable, right, you have to if you want to make your life predictable, you have to follow the context, time, and place, and all these aspects of your life. So thank you for watching. I hope you liked it. You can do subscribe, do watch other videos. I'm sure you will like it. Thank you so much. All the best.